Hello. Hi, everyone. It's Farouche. I think I lost my signal. Hold on. Hi, everyone. It's Farouche. Welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'm excited to be here with you guys today. So, I'm here to tell you guys about the Leo full moon that's happening tomorrow. We're going to do a reading for and the astrology, so for all the signs. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'm excited to tell you guys about everything that's going on. So I hope this week hasn't been too hectic. Feel free to share in the comments your impressions of what Pluto in Aquarius has been like for you. And yeah, so let's just get into it. So tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, we're going to get a full moon in Leo at 5 degrees. This is an area of the chart that marks our authenticity, our individuality, joy, happiness, being within ourselves, and being heartfelt. So that's the energy of Leo. And so that energy of Leo is now confronted with the energy of Sun in the opposite side of the chart in Aquarius, and it's giving us a lot of information on who we are and what our life will be like, not only this year, but for the next 20 years to come. So I'm going to move this over. I really liked laying down some cards for the last reading, so let's try that again. I found my essential oil burner, so that's what that was. I was like, oh, I'll show them that because it changes colors and it's really pretty. But anyway, so why don't we put down some cards to begin with, and then we'll go through the astrology, and then we will go into the all sign. Everything caught me off guard a little bit because I did something. It was my fault this time to the camera. It's not even Mercury retrograde. And so I'm not sure if there's two videos out there or what's going on, but that's okay. We're going to get through it. So we have the devil. I was like, I'm not going to mess up today. I'm not going to do anything weird. Okay, so let's go. So the weirdness is out of the way. It's my Aquarian nature, I guess. And then we have the Three of Cups and the Two of Cups. So these cards are meant to be a general message for the collective that we can use alongside our reading of the astrology that I'm about to go through with you guys. The astrology stuff I tried to make very comprehensive, so feel free to just watch it. It's pretty easy to understand, nothing too heavy, nothing too complicated, but very eye-opening. I also recommend watching the video we did 2 days ago about the Pluto ingress into Aquarius, because some of the themes from the last video are coming up now. So if you don't understand what I'm mentioning here, it will have to do with those energies that are connected to this. Wow, we have the Ten of Swords, my new favorite card. And then we have the Page of Cups as the outcome. See, sometimes when you let go of something, when you let go of a situation that has been harmful for you or hurtful in some way, then a new awakening can happen. And I think that's kind of part of the theme of Pluto in Aquarius alongside this full moon. So Pluto entered Aquarius on the 21st. Here, let me get the chart up for you guys. So Pluto entered Aquarius on the 21st, right here, and now we get a full moon. And so there's a lot to talk about. So like I said, Leo is the energy of authenticity, open-heartedness, and for each of us, it represents who we really are within ourselves. Leo is ruled by the sun, and so therefore it is our marker, our signature. The sun is the energy source of the solar system. And so some things are happening right now outside this full moon that are greatly influencing the full moon and therefore our experience. So one of the things that's not directly connected with the full moon right now is the Well, it is in a way. I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. But for the purpose of understanding what's going on, the atmosphere we're in, the North Node, which is this right here, and Chiron, the little key green symbol, are forming a conjunction very soon. And so we are in the period right before this conjunction happens. This is a huge signature for this year about self-esteem, our positioning in the world, self-confidence, identity issues, both within ourselves and from outside of ourselves in terms of what we are seen as by the world. Okay? So the North Node Chiron conjunction explores all these themes, and already you may be feeling as though issues of self-worth or self-confidence or identity may be coming up. And those issues of these topics may be coming up and making you think about them, making you feel them. And for some people, this is a great thing. Maybe they have great self-confidence or something else. However, because it is Chiron, it's likely that for most of us, it is going to bring up certain things that we feel uncomfortable with or feel uncomfortable about. But these are things that we progress through and can grow through. And so this conjunction is ultimately healing. Alongside this full moon, we experience a square between Mars in Capricorn and the North Node in Chiron in Aries. So this square is going to aggravate that whole energy of the approaching conjunction between Neptune and Chiron. It's going to make it feel very acute. What I think will happen most likely for most of you is that you will feel outpowered by the outside world or circumstances that you have found yourself in. And remember, these are two different things, but they both apply. Whether your situations were created by yourself and in your heart you know you need to change and those kinds of changes need to happen, or if you are a victim of circumstance and outside things have caused for you certain experiences in the world, both of those types of experiences will be aggravated by the conjunction of the North Node with Chiron and Mars in Capricorn, okay, this square. And so this will feel like, why am I here? Why is it this way? Those kinds of feelings. And so in the context of our full moon, while these aspects of our experience are being aggravated or triggered, in the context of the full moon, we are aware of the things that we struggle with and the things that are hard, right? From within us and around us. And I think to understand this full moon, it's very important to understand this context. So take a break, pause the video, and take some time for yourself to think about what is the thing, and truly do this. This is not me just trying to get you to, like some gimmick. Genuinely sit there and think to yourself, what is the thing that I am labeled with? What is the reality that is imparted onto me? Who am I in the world that I feel is somehow limits me, my identity, so forth. How does my identity, as perceived by myself and validated by my actions, thoughts, and personal feelings about myself, or how am I treated by other people and my relationship to the outside world, how is that framing that reality? So we all have something, we all have things to kind of think about. I'm 5'11", I'm tall, 178 centimeters, very, very tall. So when I was younger, that was like, is this the issue? Like, we all have many issues. It's not an issue. I'm just trying to use an example that's good. So we all have different aspects of ourselves, be it physical characteristics, personalities, or labels that we know are a part of what frames our experience. And so sit with that now in the context of the full moon tomorrow morning in order to understand where is your strength and where are you growing to And within the context of those things of Chiron, those limitations, who are you still? I may be tall, but I'm fast and I'm strong, as an example. It's an example that doesn't hurt me, so you guys don't have to say anything, conciliatory. I couldn't think of a better example. When all else fails, talk about being tall. It's like my personality. Okay? So the other thing about this full moon you want to know is that it's a micromoon. It's the first of 3 micromoons in 2024 because it's 400,000 kilometers. I'm sorry, I don't know the miles from the sun. Oh, from the earth. From the sun. That's pretty close there, Varouche. Okay? So this is nearing apogee. It's going to be at its furthest position in 3 days. And if you recall last year, there was a series of earthquakes, especially in Turkey, alongside a very similar transit. And in 2022, we had a supervolcano underwater blow up in Tonga, which would have been a massive global catastrophe had it not been underwater. And so it was still a catastrophe, but its scale was much smaller. And so last year I told you that around this time, early in the year, we are likely to see more seismic activity, volcanoes, earthquakes, and so forth. And it actually happened sooner than I thought. The volcano in Iceland has erupted, and it has awoken again after hundreds of years of being dormant. And also, of course, the 4 earthquakes alongside the Asian Pacific coastline, 2 in Japan and 2 elsewhere, right? So we've already seen volcanoes, and I'm not trying to scare you. And if you are a little scared, just so you know, I do think the fact that Pluto has now moved to Aquarius, it's a good sign that maybe if nothing will happen. However, Mars is in Capricorn. Between now and April, we are in the zone of potential large earthquakes, large volcanic activity, and so forth, seismic activity. So pay attention to that. That might happen. But now let's talk about the full moon itself, okay? So a full moon, as we know, is the sun opposite the moon, right? And so this year, because the sun formed a conjunction with Pluto on January 21st, just a few days ago, it now still is an opposition of the sun and Pluto to the moon. That's a very intense transit. Let me know in the comments if you have the Pluto opposite the moon in your natal chart. Those transits are very intense. I'm never going to experience that in my lifetime, but if you have that opposition, it's really intense. So natal astrology is different than transits a little bit, but what you're going to experience is emotional intensity. The moon in Western astrology represents emotions, and in Eastern astrology, that's a good way to say it, it represents the mind. And in my viewpoint, it represents both. I actually agree with both views. And so the opposition of Pluto to the moon is essentially our wow moment of looking at the world in front of us under this conjunction of the sun and Pluto and giving us a massive insight on what the next year and what the next 20 years will be like. Now, I've kind of noticed that some people are attributing this conjunction to Aquarius, and I think it's really important to be specific here in order to see the astrology. The conjunction of the Pluto and Sun happened in Capricorn at 29 degrees. This is very, very important. This is not the first cycle of the Sun and Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years. This is the last cycle of the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn from the last 15 years from now. In other words, 2024 is a hybrid year in which we have elements of Aquarian energy really coming in strongly now. And there's elements of the last 15 years. So I'm not talking about mundane astrology, but the best way to kind of illustrate that for you is certain topics, and some of them we'll talk about later. Certain topics such as wars, certain wars that happened in those last 15 years. And I don't want to say which one, but I think most of those wars can be attributed to Pluto and Capricorn energy. They have to do with money, colonialism, which we saw a big pushback on mid last year when Pluto squared the nodes, remember? And so that was in West Africa and other places in France. There was those protests when that teenager was murdered by the police. So those colonial imposition of power to extract money, to extract resources, that energy has to do with Pluto and Capricorn. And so some of these events that began in 2023, 2022, likely will still continue throughout 2024, and we will see them either worked out or decompressed. We're in a transition. And so it builds on also things that began in 2023. And so 2024 is seeing the ingress of Aquarian energy. We do have Pluto in the 0 degree of Aquarius for the majority of the year. We see the conjunctions with the inner planets, Mars, Mercury, and Venus with Pluto. And if you want to know more, go in the description, watch the last video. That's where we talked about that energy there. Okay? So, and Pluto will actually exit Aquarius, enter Capricorn for 2-3 months in September in the fall, and then enter into Aquarius again. And do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the US election, because you have these older participants who are duking it out. They represent Pluto and Capricorn. And then the new incumbent, maybe that's a prediction, I don't know, will come in 2025, will be inaugurated in the Aquarian energy. But I don't understand it because both of them have been presidents before, the top contenders. So I'm not quite sure who that new incumbent is. But it really feels that way. Let me know your comments, your opinion in the comments. Okay, so you have this strong impression of the conjunction of the Sun and Pluto. So the exact conjunction happened in Capricorn, but for the purpose of the full moon, they're still within 4 degrees. So both the Sun and Pluto are impacting the moon and giving us a wow moment, helping us to see the next 20 years as well as the next year ahead. I think it's very helpful with this full moon for you to look for financial opportunities, especially in fields of technology, because as the energy is coming in through the Aquarian energy, you are going to start to see opportunities. Bitcoin was created right in the onset of Pluto entering Capricorn. So what is being created now? Now, a lot of people, when they hear technology, they get anxious. It's like this elusive place that some people who know how to code get to access, and everybody else is kept out. I understand. Don't feel anxiety. We are all surrounded by technology of different types. And so pay attention to the type of technologies that you can benefit from. Maybe you have a dog grooming business, maybe there's a new technology that will help you groom dogs better or at a higher number. So look for those opportunities for yourself. You don't have to be an expert at computers specifically, but there are opportunities out there, and this full moon will help you see them. The other times in which you may be able to see access to technology are the conjunctions of Mars, Mercury, and Venus, and I'll let you watch the other video for information on that. And I've already talked about this in the last video, but I think it's a real aspect of the current energy. The moon in Leo is very, very rooted in our relationships and our social relationships. So with this full moon, you are going to gain very clear insights into your relationships with others, but from this foundation of a strong personality, your strong individual Leo center, whether you're a Leo or not. This is for all signs, a collective. But that Leo energy is flowing through you, and it's ruled by the sun, and the sun is in its opposition, shining its full light onto you. And so therefore you are the strongest you have ever been in light of the social relationships that you're in. And so the moon in opposition to this position gives you a great insight into what kind of relationships you have. Everything from relationships that don't add up to toxic groups of friends that are bringing you down and holding you back. There's the tall poppy syndrome, or the tall whatever syndrome, willow, I don't know. And that's the act in which groups try to level individuals to be less than in order to make the different group members feel happy and confident. This promotes mediocrity and not challenging yourself in order to not offend other people. Is this happening to you with groups? Is this happening to you with your friends? Is the fact that you want friends holding you back from being yourself? These are the kinds of questions I would ask under this Leo full moon. So stand strong as an individual, but also pay attention to what's happening around you with your friends, with your network, with other people that you know. You will really understand where to go. But it's not all negative, like they're toxic or they're bad. Likewise, you will have insights into good people and the people that you stand to benefit from knowing. So stand in your truth and, caw, let out the bat signal and see what kind of individuals respond. Self-confidence is the key with this full moon. So the opposition of the sun and Pluto to the moon gives you a great insight into what's coming with Pluto in Aquarius, but also the next year as we transition through into it. Now, the other aspect that's super important, that's influencing this moon. We're going to do 3 aspects, so this is number 2, but this is the most important one. We are under an opening sextile between Saturn and Jupiter. If you remember, we had a conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter at 0 degrees Aquarius on December 2020. That 0 degree of Aquarius keeps showing up in our astrology over and over again. And I've pointed this out to you guys throughout the last, 2 years, 3 years. And so here we have another instance in which under the full moon, we are experiencing a sextile, an opening sextile that will last until February 19th between Saturn and Jupiter. The first major aspect since that conjunction happened at 0 degrees Aquarius. This means that this is our first taste of what that planetary cycle is about. It's giving us a first insight into this transition. And I have to say this. Some of you guys don't like Age of Astrology. Let's do it. Age of Aquarius talk. And I understand Age of Aquarius, a lot of the rhetoric around it is rooted in theosophy and late 19th problematic discourse of spirituality. I know that. But you cannot deny that there are a series of transits that are lining up together from now until 2500, when the vernal equinox switches into Aquarius. And so there's a series of transits, including the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter that began in Aquarius at 0 degrees, marking the beginning of the cycle, the air cycle of the conjunctions between Saturn and Jupiter for the next 200 years, right before Pluto enters Aquarius. And so this is one of the stepping stones towards Age of Aquarius. So for some of you, that's problematic, but there is an astrological aspect to this. There is a pattern that's emerging, that's transitioning us to a time when spring began in Pisces to when spring will begin in sidereal Aquarius. And so this is very important. And so this is the time in which this is all connected. The reason Saturn and Jupiter are influencing this full moon, because they are a separate transit, is because Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius. So we know this, right? But Saturn also rules the first decan of Leo. And I wrote something crazy down. So we have Saturn influencing both Aquarius and Leo. And then I wrote the sun rules the first decan of Leo in modern astrology. So in traditional astrology, the first 10 degrees of Leo are ruled by Saturn, whereas in modern astrology, they're ruled by the sun. But where is the sun? The sun is in Aquarius. What is Aquarius ruled by? Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Modern astrologers consider both Uranus and Saturn as rulers of Aquarius. They don't say no more Saturn, Aquarius. You get both based on modern astrology. So you have this Saturnian influence on both sides of the full moon. And Jupiter's joy is the 11th house. We talked about that last time. So 11th house, which is ruled by Aquarius, is the house of good fortune, is the house of good luck. This is because the 11th house in ancient times was considered the joy of Jupiter. And so we have this opening sextile, the first aspect since their conjunction 4 years ago between Pisces and Taurus of Saturn that rules both of the transits of this lunation, and Jupiter that rules the 11th house. Doesn't rule it, but is the joy of the 11th house. So I think that's significant. I think we see a pattern here. And so what does this mean to me? And I spent some time to think about this. We'll talk about this more. But I think essentially what's happening here is when you have a sextile, an opening sextile from a conjunction, a new planetary cycle that's going to last a very long time, and it's going to last beyond this just one iteration. One iteration means the one conjunction to the next one. The important thing here is that this is going to influence a series of conjunctions in the air signs that have begun in 2020 in Aquarius at 0 degrees. But the relationship between Saturn and Jupiter here is what's important for the full moon. What are they doing now? Saturn is at Pisces at 5 degrees, and Jupiter is at 6 degrees of Taurus, right? So what does this mean? Jupiter is expanding our wealth, and it's expanding our resources. Taurus, it's expanding our food. So watch your diet, make sure, because it's going to be very easy for you to gain weight between now and mid-year when Jupiter enters Gemini. So be careful what you're eating, but it's expanding wealth, expanding resources. And Saturn, what is it doing in Pisces? It's deconstructing our antiquated attachment to antiquated institutions and religions, right? All we've seen is people confronting these systems of religion that are oppressing people ever since Saturn entered Pisces in March 2023 last year. So what does this mean for us personally? Because I think this is really important in the context of this full moon. What this means is traditionally people went to church not only to believe in God, but because they had to. Church was their source of survival. Church was weaponized as an imperial weapon, okay? It was a systemic structure that gave people an avenue through which to survive, right? So people went to church to meet a partner, to find a job, to find a place to build a home. Everything revolved around their community within religious institutions. And the people who led those institutions were fully aware of that. And it's very true that a lot of it was built for the purpose of population control. And so therefore, I'm not knocking religion, but Saturn in Pisces is addressing the disjunction between our beliefs in religion, our beliefs in the supernatural or whatever else, and our institutionalization of it, and the way it colonized the world, the way it suppressed people, oppressed people, hurt people. And so many people continue to live in this bubble of the church. And if you believe in God, all power to you. I'm not knocking you. I'm talking systemically about the way that it works. But Jupiter here has given us empowerment in Taurus, financial empowerment to dislodge ourselves from community groups, because community groups have replaced the church in many contexts. And Jupiter in Taurus has given many people resources. Think of West Africa. West Africa last year rose up to claim back their resources from France. This is a huge move in the anti-imperial movement, right? And so what do? We have our own resources. We can sell them for our own prices. Markets have changed. We can gain. We don't need to be subjected to your religious colonialism. And so this isn't meant to be a mundane astrology observation, but you yourself also with Jupiter in Taurus, because we have all been conditioned by years and generations of patterns of referring to the church or the church community or whatever religion you practice, to the community of that religion that's being used to gain power for a select few. We've been all taught to refer to that community. And as Jupiter transits through Taurus, it counteracts our need for community, because our condition is predicated on our need for safety and security that we find in those numbers. So even though we still need other people, Jupiter in Taurus is giving us resources in Taurus, while Saturn is allowing us to detach from belief systems that no longer resonate or that were imposed for ulterior motives. And so the sextile between Jupiter and Saturn to me represents the breakaway. And I think that's what's important for this full moon. What's important for this full moon is the Aquarian energy that represents groups and ourselves allows us to stand in our moment, connect with ourselves, and understand our value vis-a-vis groups that may not be aligned with our best interest. And Saturn here, that's ruling both the sun and the moon in a way, is telling us, wait a minute, do you believe in Jesus because you believe in Jesus, which is fine? Or do you believe in Jesus because you're anxious about the world and you want a community to assure you survive and you get help to achieve those things? Well, my friend, Jupiter is going to give you enough resources so you don't have to have that fear. This is the process I think we're under. And it's not going to be 100% right now. This is just a transitionary step. It's the opening sextile. And so we can talk about this more. It's really interesting. And I think it's a real synchronicity to the fact that there's so many transits alongside 0 degree Aquarius. Okay. The other aspect, and this is the third one, it's a short one. There is a T-square on Jupiter from this full moon. And so this kind of touches upon things, the same thing. So we've already said Jupiter is the joy of the 11th house. And so what could actually be happening with Jupiter squaring the full moon? Well, your opportunities in resources, in money and wealth and success may be actually working against your individuation, your coming into yourself, your process of self-awareness, and your detachment from groups. And the reason I say detachment, when people act a certain way, when we have 0 degrees Aquarius, when we have 0 craps to give, when people act a certain way, the sun with Pluto, it makes it shine. It shows it. It shows their toxicity. And so the moon here is showing you, hey, I don't want to be like that. Likewise, if there are characteristics that you value, this sun and Pluto takes you to the right people very quickly. It helps the right people see your shine. And so the problem with the square is, in my opinion, with Jupiter and Taurus, is that in some way it's cramping that process down, because there are resources that are coming to you, and think of that sextile to Saturn. There are resources that are coming to you that are in some ways enticing you to go in a different direction. So when here's your wow moment, you're like, wow, these are my friends, or these are the direction I need to go. This is me, and I need to get away from these people that are holding me back. This Jupiter here may be saying, here's all this stuff. It's a distraction. It's a square, right? It's a distraction from that self-awareness. And so I think it's really important to balance things out. At this time, you may feel like you're really juggling things. So you may be gaining benefit and money in one direction, whereas you feel the need for attachment and the need for friends. And it's like, which one do you choose? Where do you give your energy? Where do you get your feelings? So I think the square to Jupiter is it's like a paradox a bit. Like, what do you do with this energy now? So there's a lot more to say about this, and I don't know how long it took me to explain it. Oh, 30 minutes. That's not bad. So I thought it took longer. So here's the deal. There's a lot more to say about this. We'll talk about this again. This is just an intro into some of the concepts or some of the topics. But, and there's like other layers to what's happening now. There's other transits. But I think for the full moon itself, really pay attention to your skills and how they fit in this new Aquarian age, in this new Age of Aquarius. I'm being a bit of a troll here saying that. I'm kidding. But yeah, there's a whole new world, a brave new world ahead of you, you know? Find yourself within it and use this full moon as a point of awareness. It's nice. So I want to give you guys really quick dates, and then we'll do the reading, the all sign reading. So as I mentioned, the sextile between Jupiter and Saturn is starting today, the 24th, and it's continuing until February 19th. So this will be a month-long cycle. Pay attention to opportunities to detach yourself from unhealthy groups of people, like, let's say that you're in a religious community and you're like, I don't believe this, but I'm scared to leave because they provide me everything that I know. This is going to help you find other avenues. Whether it's a religious community or any group of people, this will help you find resources to detach from things you don't believe in. This isn't about detaching from things you believe in. So if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in, you know, whatever you believe in, nothing here is telling you to go away, right? What is saying is for those people, for those women who are suppressed by an extremist religious community, and they're scared to leave because they don't have an avenue out, this is going to produce certain outcomes and opportunities. Then we have the Chiron North Node conjunction that will happen on February 25th. So it's not so much negative. In fact, I think that it's a confrontational energy. You confront those things that are challenging. You confront those things that are difficult for you to deal with. And for many of us, this is going to be a social issue because it's in Aries. So who am I in the world? Who am I in the world is usually determined by somebody watching you, right? Somebody observing you and you having a relationship that defines who you are. Because who you are in the world to yourself is usually pretty comfortable, right? Like who you are within yourself, or maybe not. I don't know. maybe for some of you, if it's an issue just for the self, you can tell me in the comments and give me a different perspective. But we're going to explore this, and this is the backdrop of this full moon. So there is a little sense of insecurity. There is a little sense of issues triggered, but that's okay. Be brave. You can do it. You know, I know you can. Thumbs up. Okay, just like me trying to force my way through explaining all this and being shy about it. Okay, so there are a couple lunations, sun, moon expressions that mirror this full moon as well. So this is the part where you can look back in your calendar, or if you journal, then this is the exercise for you. Look back to these dates, whether in email or whatever, to try to jot your memory as to what was happening, and then refer back. So the first event is a new moon in Leo that happened on July 28th, 2022. And this is important because if you watched the last video, I told you that the current astrology is mirroring a lot of events in 2022. Venus-Mars conjunction, triple conjunction with Pluto. There was just lots of similarities that I mentioned in the last video. So if this is resonating, watch the last video as well. But on July 28, 2022, we had a new moon in Leo. This is going to go really quick. If you are a little bit older, or if you have a means to look back, on July 28, 1984, we had a new moon in Leo. So a little bit before that, 40 years ago. So let me know if it's your birthday. Let me know in the comments. I don't know. We'll wish you well, sing you happy birthday, something like that. And a more recent date, well, not from 2022, but from 1984, on January 1st, 2005, so that's almost 20 years ago, there was a full moon in Leo, also at 5 degrees. So there's been a lot of new moons, one full moon, over the last few decades. This isn't like groundbreaking astrology. This is just for your reference to review. What I think is really interesting, though, is the next point. In 2019 through the summer, we had a really weird summer, remember? This was pre-pandemic, and I don't want to spread misinformation, so someone correct me in the comments. I know a few of you are like scientists, so correct me in the comments. But it seems that COVID broke out in the summer of 2019, right? I'm not sure, just right after the summer. So I'm not sure about that. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying, like, whatever happened to it happened early on and then it continued. But I remember that summer because I thought it was weird. Jeffrey Epstein died in mysterious circumstances. And I was always under the suspicion that he had a kill switch. A kill switch is something that powerful people use as a deterrent to be unalived. And so when a really powerful person dies, it's almost like a way to say, if you unalive me, then this kill switch will go off and there will be consequences. So it's very, very scary. And in light of the pandemic, sometimes this is a complete kind of wild conspiracy theory. What if that had to do something with that, right? The other thing that happened in 2019 that I was really kind of weirded out by in the summer was the burning of the Notre Dame. And I made some content about it, and there was going to be more that I didn't want to say. I have all the notes, but I never put it out. So I made one video that was really, really edited down, and then there was like a lot more behind that. And what I found strange about the Notre Dame being set on fire, see there, I said it, that's my bias, it's a Freudian slip, is that there was no casualties. There was no fatalities to my awareness. And so this giant famous church, and to me this seemed like a smoke signal, because when I saw France's president Macron's face, he was horrified, obviously, but what I saw in his face when the Notre Dame was burning was like a knowing horror, like he knew what was up. And so I had this really strong feeling for this and other reasons that something was brewing during the summer of 2019. I knew something was up and something was behind the scenes. Something was brewing. And so looking back to that time, I don't mean to freak you guys out. Total conspiracy theories. It's meant to be just to stir and provoke conversation. It's not meant to be like, this is how I think it happened. But 2019 summer was weird. And in relation to this full moon, between July and August, there was a series of trines to Aries, Chiron at 5 degrees, in Leo at 5 degrees. On July 11th, Mars at 5 degrees of Leo created a trine to Chiron. Then on the 1st of August, Venus at 5 degrees of Leo trined Chiron. Then on August 15th, at 5 degrees of Leo, Mercury trined Chiron. Now, this isn't a crazy transit. This isn't like, but it's a synchronicity. Because if you look back between July 11th and August 15th, 2019, just for you personally, you don't have to think about the cathedral. I was just using that as an example that, to me, that was one of the weirder summers that I remember on record. Weird, like weird. And so now we get this full moon that's happening at 5 degrees of Leo, and Chiron and North Node are activated by a square to Mars. And this is all identity issues. It all kind of came together. So you may want to look back to that period in 2019 to see what was going on for you. And was it strange? And did those events lead into now? Because this full moon may be another layer to that onion. Okay? Then this is the last date. I hope you guys are enjoying my dates. I like the dates, but let me know how you guys enjoy like hearing about them. So last year so if you're like young and you're like 1984 Varouche, that's like the 1900s. That's what Gen Z says. I think it's so funny. And we're going to hear it more and more and more. And I was a brat. When I was 19, I would definitely identify like my age. It was just, so I'm not like looking down on anyone doing that. So way back in the 1900s in 1984, but let's talk about 2023. So on June 11th, we had Venus at 5 degrees of Leo create a sextile to Jupiter at 5 degrees of Taurus. Interesting. What does that look like to you? If you're new to astrology, take a minute, because that's a real synchronicity. So I didn't mention this part, but right now, as you're trying to look for the synchronicity and the similarity, if you know some astrology, this is easy for you, but if you're new, this will help you understand. Venus is now actually applying a trine to Jupiter, and Venus is the ruler of the first decan of Leo in modern astrology. Is that right? I think so. So right now, so in 2023, in June 11th, Venus was creating a sextile to Jupiter at 5 degrees of Taurus. Now Jupiter is at 6 degrees of Taurus. So this full moon is a sextile to, is it a sextile? Taurus? No, it's a square. Hold on. Venus was squaring Jupiter. I wrote down the wrong note and I trusted my writing over the note. So it was a square to Jupiter, and now she's trining. So there's an evolution of that energy from the square. I thought it was a sextile, but it's a square, which actually feeds into this synchronicity even more. There's a conflict in June 11th, 2023, right? That was a conflict that arose when Venus was squaring Jupiter in the same position as she's trining him now, right here in Capricorn to Taurus. So did a relationship resolve from last year? Did something progress? Did something develop? Did something move forward? Okay, so that's my presentation for the collective. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And so let's do a reading for every single sign. This took way longer than I thought, but that's okay. It's totally worth it. So we'll just zoom in. But before we do, let's take a look at just our spread. So we had this, you know, the devil was playing with me. Okay. But but there's definitely an energy here of a resolution. There's a fear or apprehension. But as you step into the, as you step into the full moon right here, there's this kind of outpouring of get into your moment, feel yourself, feel your confidence, feel your success. And with these cards, we have the beginning of a journey that as it comes into focus, the journey of the self, you begin to be much more confident and much more excited about it. There's a situation where you have to let something go. There's an earth sign and a 10 of swords, you know, going their separate ways. But there's new things to care about, new adventures, new friends, and new hope. And I think that's the point of the full moon, okay? So why don't we do, I'm going to go really fast since we took so long to explain the astrology. But I'll be back with more. And if you didn't watch the last video, then you can watch it now and then get your longer reading or whatever you're looking for. Okay, so I picked these cards because last time I used these cards and a couple people said they really liked them. This is a Polish deck and his name is Robert Lichodziejewski Tarot, and I love him for it because he used his last name in the tarot itself. So it's a long, crazy Polish name. It's actually really long for a Polish name, but if you're interested, that's the last name, Lichodziejewski Tarot. Okay, so if you want to get yourself a deck, that's how it's written, and yeah, good luck with that. Okay, so let's do, I have cards here, so nobody needs to keep order, and let's just see how this full moon unveils or evolves for you. So we start with Capricorn. Okay. I was really excited about the synchronicities, so I fumbled at the beginning. I think that's where that came from. Liana said, "You make me feel sane." I don't know if that's because I'm so like this, Liana, or is it because, I don't know, are you making fun of me? I know you're not, but anyway. Hey girl, hey. So anyway, I just saw that comment. I'm like, am I saying things that are that crazy? So, okay. So if you have Capricorn sun, moon or rising, this full moon is happening in your 8th house. I think this full moon has a lot to do with having confidence in the people that you know and the people that and the people that you're sharing money with. So if this is like having trust and faith that you can be a good partner to others, having trust and faith that you can, team up with someone and, take a risk. Because a lot of people, when you're sharing money with others, be it a business or a marriage or whatever else, a lot of times we frame it as an issue of, oh, what are they going to do to me? Like the fear of what they're going to do to you. But I think the more powerful way of looking at it is, can I handle whatever comes? It's like, can I handle whether, they get lazy or whatever happens? Can I handle that? So this full moon may be showing you, Capricorn, how you can handle relationships and you can handle sharing resources with family, friends, or whoever and stand your own. This is actually a really nice energy also for intimacy for you. If you have intimacy issues, confidence issues, things like that, I think this full moon in some way will really help you find your spot, find yourself. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to do 3 cards just to take a look at the tarot in light of that. Okay, so we have the Hanged Man. And then we have the King of Wands. And then we have the Seven of Swords. It really feels like there's an apprehension towards a potential from someone. There's an apprehension that someone's going to treat you badly and you're not going to be able to resolve it. We're all raised in this paranoid culture of what are they going to do to me? Whether it's a woman or a man or whoever, we're all told like they're going to rob you. And we hear these stories all the time. And although technically it's sort of true because our justice systems pin us against each other. And so it creates these kinds of dynamics. But there's this feeling of waiting so long for someone to pull through. Maybe having the confidence to walk away from something that's just not pulling through fast enough. Okay? So that's just some feedback for you for this Capricorn full moon. Leo full moon. Okay, Virgo's next. Hey, Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, let's take a look at... Okay, Virgos, first let's take a look at the astrology and see how it impacts you. For this full moon, it's the subconscious. In some ways, this may be the most powerful position for the full moon in light of the ingress of Pluto into Aquarius, because it is going to give you that wow factor, like, I see the world ahead of me now, like, I see my place in it. That wow factor is hitting you in your subconscious in the 12th house. So you're having these powerful realizations about life and everything that's happened from 2008, 2009 until now. And also, it's giving you insights into where things are going and how you're going to be a part of it. So take that information on Virgo, the dreams you're having, the visions, and don't forget them. So many times we're like, we have our vision, we have our realization, and then we put it on the shelf, a bunch of stuff happens, and then you go back to it, and then you're like, wow, why did I not remember? It could have saved me so much energy. I had that insight 3 years ago, right? So that's, realize your insights. I think this full moon for Virgo's sun, moon, and rising is about powerful insights. So you get the Knight of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Then we have the Hermit, which is Virgo. That's you right in the center. And then we have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. I think what this is looking at as a pattern is you're looking at flighty conflict situations. Look at him. He's shining a light on conflict, flighty situations. This knight is moving so quickly, he's not going to stop, and he's going to fight no matter what. Okay? He's just going for it. While on the other side of the Hermit, remember from my story about Gilgamesh and Enkidu in my last video? Enkidu reminds me of the Hermit, a wild man from the steppe, right? And then, but the Hermit, on the other hand, in the other direction, and when you read tarot, this is the oncoming direction, is the King of Swords. Both of these refer to Aquarius. So there's this energy of maybe conflict or fighting, or maybe looking to people who are constantly, it's almost like a cat trying to chase something, you know, it's a pointless exercise of never actually capturing anything. It's just a game, right? And then there's the King of Swords here, he's sitting, right? So what's oncoming is you need to shift your focus, Virgo. For some reason, you're attaching your awareness and consciousness towards things that are flighty, as opposed to things that sit within their truth and are not wavering. And this touches upon our astrology, in which I mentioned to you that the king represents, the astrology that represents that choosing the right people to connect with. It's also true that people have a predisposition to choose people who criticize us, who point out our flaws. This is how a lot of young guys try to pick up girls. It's really hurtful when they give 2 compliments and 1 kind of insult to try to get her attention. It's a psychological trick. So this is human psychology. But King of Swords here is not doing that. This is an approving energy. And it's very true. Some people, no matter what you do, they're never going to approve of you. They're just never going to do it. Some people, no matter what you do, will always see your side. And so look towards those people that are affirmative and supportive and empowering, not enabling, empowering, and detach from the people that are not, okay? The people that you're chasing like a cat and mouse. Okay. I'm going to keep these short, but if like a message comes through that's a little bit longer, I'm not going to just not say it because, you know. So next is Taurus. Hey, Taurus, let's take a look at your chart. So we'll start with the astrology and then read a little tarot. So Taurus, hey girl, hey Taurus, hey. So the full moon is happening at your IC. And so for you, more than most people, and that Chiron conjunction is happening in the 12th house, I think it's likely that that whole, like, who am I in the world, how I've been conditioned to be who I am, those kinds of questions hit home really hard, really hard. Like childhood experiences, full moon in the 4th house, right on the IC. Just real strong impressions on who you are in the world and why, like, you're shy in public and why whatever else, whatever characteristic that you experience, right? And so this full moon illuminates that understanding, things that you may not be conscious of in the 12th house. Because a lot of times those 12th house early childhood patterns, they're like so deep within us that we don't even recognize them. It's hard to see them, and that's what therapy's for, apparently. But anyway, so here with this full moon, maybe it's not all like loss and suffering, right? Here you can also see, hey, I'm really tenacious. Tauruses to me are very tenacious people. Really keep at it people, especially with Jupiter, Pluto right at the top of your chart. So I can really, like, you know, this job requires this. Okay, imagine, like, I want to be a lawyer. This job requires a lot of hours. Being a lawyer is tough, right? And so Pluto in the 10th house, it's like, maybe I should be a lawyer. Maybe I can commit to this career, you know, to this job, to this position in the community, right? So Taurus, for you guys, it's really about the potential and maybe recognizing within yourself skills that you can apply to the world over the next 20 years. But also it's about those limitations and early childhood experiences that conditioned you and, like, maybe getting over them, you know, whatever it is. Maybe it's like a little thing. A lot of times it's like an accumulation of many little things, right? It's not just one big thing. So this full moon is all about awareness. Okay, so we have the 6 of Wands. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles. And then we have the Knight of Cups. Okay, see? To me, it looks like an awareness of a career path that you want to pursue. Very successful combination. We have the 6 of Wands. We have the Ace of Pentacles. And then we have the Knight of Cups. Success, carrying it forward. This is where I want. This is like, you know, I love when people say moving with your whole chest. That's not like my thing, but I love when people talk about that, like going forward with your full chest, like putting your full chest into it, you know? I think that that's really a cool kind of analogy for these cards. A new financial beginning, something's brewing in your mind, new idea, take it forward, okay? Very exciting. I know it's really short, but it's, you know, it's a sweet truth. I like this truth. I don't want to mess it up. Okay. So next sign, let's take a look. And then we have Temperance, Sagittarius. Hey Sagittarius, let's take a look at your chart. Okay, so first we'll do astrology, then a little tarot. Sagittarius, okay? If you want more, there's in the description. And everyone, just please comment when the video is posted and leave a like. Okay, so Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Oh, you have a nice one because it's in your 9th house, okay? The 9th house is traditionally ruled by Sagittarius. It's your house. Uh-oh. I'm not sure. There's some traffic or something. Okay, so we have the full moon in Leo in your 9th house. I have a feeling that many of you are feeling like this is the I want to travel. This is feeling constricted possibly by people and situations near you. You might be feeling like people around you, it's too small. Not that you think that it's below you. There's an interesting energy here, and I'll leave it with you, and you can tell me in the comments for future reflection. Pluto in the 3rd house for Sagittarius. You may think that you're freer, beyond or above. Not above, there's like this tendency. It's not like snubbing anyone, but it's a feeling that you're beyond this place. But here with Pluto in Aquarius, and I think this is a signature for all of 20 years that Pluto's in Aquarius, but you need them. That's the conflict. They may not express the same outward reach that your mind is, that you're aware of right now, but you need them. Those family, those friends, those neighbors, you need them. So let me know how that resonates. I think that's a huge signature for your experience of Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, so next we have my essential oils are working. So we have the Queen of Pentacles. And then we have the 3 of Wands. And then we have the 7 of Swords, Moon in Aquarius. There's definitely a feeling of wanting to get away from something. But so usually I give this card a lot of benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, this is a person protecting themselves, getting out of the way, moving out from a bad boyfriend's apartment with all their stuff before they come home. Like, this could be a bunch of different situations in which he's completely innocent. But let's look at the dark side of this card. He's stealing stuff from someone, right? This person now can't go back to this town. And if you know how ancient towns went, that's really hard because where do you go? You go into the forest? It's just a tough thing to, and how many towns are going to find out? And where are you going to stop? And you can't ever go back to that place. It's just like a ultimate decision, right? So we have the Queen of Pentacles waiting for something, waiting for an avenue out. But I think that there's going to be throughout Pluto in Aquarius, let me show you the chart. I think this is the realization, or one view of it, right? With this full moon in Aquarius, I think the realization is that you there's going to be I want to go, but there's constricting elements. I want to go, but there's constricting elements that I'm bound to, right? And so it's going to be a lot of back and forth with Pluto in Aquarius until the right time in which you will find a flow in which you can go to where you are seeing now. So this isn't about not getting there. This is about figuring out how to get there within the confines and constrictions of your 3rd house. I think that's what it's going to be. Responsibilities towards other people, right? But it really feels as though you're sitting there and you're waiting for the world to open up for you. And this does not mean necessarily travel only. This can be intellectual, emotional stimulation, all sorts of different scenarios, right? Like you're waiting for the world to open up and you're still here. And I think Pluto in Aquarius is all about, you want to turn your back and kind of blow off the world, but you need them. You need that foundation. So you can't burn the foundation down, right? That's a part of it. Respect the root. Okay. I'm in a weird mood. Okay, so we have the Cancer. Okay, hey Cancer, welcome to your new life. I'm so happy for Cancers. So happy. So first let's take a look at your these essential oils. Whatever I put in there is working. I made like my own mix. I put clover in there and stuff. I love clover, if you guys are wondering. But anyway, maybe too much clover and I'm a little high. I'm just kidding. I don't get high, but you never know. Okay, so we have the full moon in your second house. So, you know, this transit of Pluto in your eighth house is a powerful change. This full moon likely is emphasizing for you financial autonomy and strength. So where and how are you going to make your money, and how are you going to empower yourself as these new dynamics emerge in the eighth house? I told you guys last time, and I'll repeat it again, because I think this is like my advice for staying out of trouble while Pluto is in Aquarius in your, eighth house. Be careful of powerful, being drawn to someone in a powerful way. Attraction and chemistry are fantastic. But as Pluto transits your eighth house, really learn to discern intense attraction and chemistry with toxicity, okay? So I think that, and it's not on you, toxic people often put on a show that mimics and confuses people that are healthy. Because they're coming to term, like toxic people most of the time are not intentionally toxic. They're just toxic because they're toxic, right? And so in the eighth house, differentiate chemistry, connection with someone who's really learn how toxic people put on the show to make us feel like there's chemistry when they're actually like playing out some mind game. Okay. And so this full moon for me in the second house, I think this has a lot to do with pushing forward in terms of career. And we'll talk about that. I don't think you should hold back in terms of financial attempts, financial success, pushing forward. Okay. So keep trying, applying yourself. Look for those connections. It's very likely that over the next 20 years, you'll make a connection with someone who really helps you make a lot of money. Okay? There's a real opportunity here. Or someone with whom you become very wealthy. But like you have to pick and choose, and you have to learn how to pick and choose. So depending on your skills, you may want to learn how to do that. Okay? So now let's take a look at, is it dark? No, it's just me. Oh, shoot. Cancer. Thank you. I'm kind of like in the zone, which I'm in the zone. So let me clarify my comments. I'm in the zone in the sense that like my intuition is really activated. Maybe it's the full moon. So I'm not very good at practical things. That's when I lose my train of thought, especially like back in the day when I was doing a lot of videos back and back. It's not the lack of concentration. It is a lack of concentration, but it's not produced from an inability to remember things. It's from tapping in and intuition. So much of my brain is going towards intuition that I lose track of the everyday world. So I'm feeling that vibe now. That's it's like, it's hard to like, talk, do it and talk sometimes. Okay. So, justice, Libra. Yeah. It's the flow. Oh no. Okay. I thought I froze. I hope I don't freeze. Okay. So let's see. If I freeze, I'll come back again and we'll finish. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so Libra, we have the full moon for you in the 11th house, while that Pluto-Sun connection is in your 5th house. I think that your insight is about your friends, the 11th house, your groups of people, and the new people that are entering your life. Look at this. We have Moon in Libra on the bottom. It's really about how your friends react to the new people that are entering your life. The new people that are entering your life, some of whom may have strong characters. So you may have a new friend that's really out there in some quality, and that group, remember when I told you the tall poppy syndrome? They may start getting triggered by their qualities. And you, just like Cancer, will need to discern when your friends and connections are discerning things about people that you should pay attention to, like toxic traits, or whether they are reacting to somebody's strength and they're trying to level them. So maybe you don't trigger them, but maybe your friend does. And so the way to be successful when Pluto is in Aquarius, this is like insight about the full moon, really learn how to navigate your friends and the introduction of new individuals, especially like 5th house is like the Leo house, like what you're excited about, what you're like really into. Like you meet a friend who has the same like interest as you do, and you're like, wow, this is so cool that, so something with full heart. It can be romantic. It doesn't have to be. The 5th house is like someone with whom you have a lot of fun with. You really mesh, right? And then your friends snub it. They tolerate you, they accept you, but they don't accept this individual. And so I think the key to success when Pluto is in Aquarius is to discern when they're just being petty and triggered and wasting your time, these friends of yours. I'm not saying they're bad friends. I'm just saying learn when people around you are top poppying one of your cool friends because they feel insecure, and when they're actually identifying bad characteristics in an individual. Your friends are there to protect you, right? So when your friends are like, this person sucks, this person's weird, this person's mean, whatever they're saying, learn to differentiate their insecurities from potential threats, okay? And this isn't like you're going to have like all these threats come through. I'm not saying that. But to navigate the next 20 years, this will help. So this is happening again. We have 7 of Swords, Moon in Aquarius, again. And then we have, a lot of people are getting this, 6 of Swords, moving on. And, hold on. Ace of Swords, new beginning. This is the intuitive take, Libra, that I get for you. I really have a feeling that you may have certain people around you, friends, who are a damper on relationships that you care about. And so I feel like a sigh on your shoulders, like what? Frustrated at the fact that they are being this way. And by no means is there an energy here of leaving your friends behind. This is about mingling with new people and finding new things to connect with. You may, in the initial phase of this transit, back out of certain potential friendships that you were excited about as you learn this energy. And then you'll be like, I really missed out on a great friend. And then you'll carry on, move on in a new direction. So the only advice here is to save you time or save you some regret about a potential friend that you're making. Don't. Like get on top of that as quickly as you can, so you don't fumble your relationships on the behest of friends. They are your friends. They're just human, right? With their own insecurities and opinions. Just because they like you, that doesn't mean that they'll like everybody else you like, right? And you need to get really firm on, it's about you. Discern, discern. Okay, so next sign. So we have Scorpio next, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hey, Scorpio, let's take a look at your chart. Scorpio. Okay. Let's go, Scorpio. So I'm in a really good mood, apparently, because I got through that first part because I thought it was good at first, when at the beginning of the video, when the sound wasn't working and then I froze the screen. I was like, oh shit, here we go, 2 hours of sweating and nervous chatter. But then I got into it and I was really into it. It was a fun time. Okay, so now we have the full moon in Leo in your 10th house of career. This powerful conjunction alongside your IC. This is the opposite of Taurus. So watch Tauruses. They'll be very kind of like a mirror of each other's messages. But I think that the Pluto with the sun, it's a real center of the nut kind of thing. What keeps you ticking, and what is the thing that motivates you? With Pluto in the 4th house, there could be really powerful relationships with family members. For one reason or another, becoming very, very close with a person in your family or around. And the full moon in some way is giving you perspective about the outside world and giving you emphasis on your family members, like your close family members, okay? I think you're being drawn towards a closer relationship with a family member. So something that's going to take a really long time, or that's going to be really resonant, very powerful experience in your life. And this full moon in the 10th house, it's almost like, and I'll tell you my impression, this is more of an intuitive thing. The full moon may feel as though you're nothing in the outside world, and you feel like family really makes sense, So maybe you've been pushing a career and living, in your own direction in the 10th house. And with this full moon, you may realize that what's out there is nothing compared to the love and the family that you already have. I really like this energy. Very, very nice. Okay. 3 cards for Scorpio. We have the 6 of Pentacles, Moon in Taurus. Yeah, it feels some of you might take care of a family member, or be closer to around a family member a lot more. And then we have the Page of Rods. There's a real obstacle, and this won't happen right away. There's a real obstacle with accepting that, though. And I think this is for Scorpios. I would really recommend that you write it down, your impressions today. There may be a situation that is really telling you home is where the heart is. One thing I didn't mention that's a part of this full moon is the 11th house is actually under the protection of Vesta. Vesta is the sister of Jupiter. She is basically the archetypal nun because she chooses to worship Jupiter and provide, his backing, as opposed to marrying someone. She is the flame in the center of the home, And so it is said that the 11th house, which is here, but we're talking about Pluto in Aquarius, is under the protection of Vesta. And that really reminds me of your energy here, which is it's not self-sacrifice, but it's like a lot to accept, that you're going to let go. Maybe you have a lot of things that you have to let go of in order to have that. Maybe you have to move somewhere or something like that. So it's a process of acceptance and a willing, it's not anything that's going against you. You're not forced into anything, but you're going towards something that really matters. And through that process, you're letting go of certain things in the outside world. It's like, and all of you will have a slightly different experience of this depending on your resistance level and what is required. But with Pluto in the 4th house, there's such an emphasis of family here for you for the next 20 years. And you're getting closer with them, be it physically, emotionally, mentally. You're beginning that path. And there will be some degree of sacrifice that you're going to make. But it's a willing sacrifice in order to have that. Okay? It's probably, and so with this full moon, the power of this full moon is it's giving us these pre-events happening impressions. In our hearts, we sort of know what they're about, but we don't know because the 20 years hasn't happened yet. And it's funny, like I said in the last time, sometimes our impressions are spot on, but they're completely different than what we thought they would be. Because then we're filling it in with like our thinking mind. And so just take note of your impressions as best you can, Scorpio. Because once things get underway, it will be hard to figure things out. Sometimes, like at the beginning of things, it's best to understand. Like, for example, when you have a relationship with someone, in the onset of the relationship, you often know what the challenges and the positives are immediately. And then as the relationship continues, those continue to grow and get more complex. But you knew that from day one. So you didn't know how it played out, but you always knew like the little nuances, and you play them off like, oh, they don't pick up after themselves. Well, 15 years later of you picking up after someone, you're like, JC, enough is enough. So look at your environment and pay attention to what's happening. Okay, so we have Gemini. Hey Gemini, let's take a look at this. I think this is a really welcome change for Gemini, but let's take a look at how this full moon is impacting your sign. So the full moon is happening in the 3rd house. And so this is the community. This is down home. Pluto is in the 10th house, in the 9th house, with the sun. And the moon is close to you. This is likely a reminder of your roots, of who you are. We have the King of Pentacles on the bottom. And so this is a reminder of your roots, of who you are. So it's like getting in touch with your friends and family, especially people who you grew up around, to remind you of your strengths. So this is a really nice placement for this full moon, for this whole meditation, this whole self-awareness that we're talking about, Gemini. And this is sun, moon, and rising, right? Like all three. Venus also. Venus will feel this intensely. So watch for your Venus. I always forget to like, the list of things that I meant to say at the beginning is always like a mind-boggling. Okay. So Leo full moon in your 3rd house. It's like roots, family, connections, family systems, history, connection to ancestors, who you really are. What was your childhood like? And who were you when you were a child, when you were young? And how that plays out in your vision. This is a blessed transit. Pluto over the next, over your MC over the next 40 years. Huge transit. Very successful. That future is calling. The destiny is calling. But with this full moon, get in touch with who you are. When you reach some amazing adventure far away, whether it's emotional or physical, far away, when you reach far, people really stumble if they don't know who they are. This full moon is an opportunity for you to see who you are, for you to see, and really know, so that when you reach for the 9th house, when you reach for that destiny, you're not going against yourself, because you can't do it. Here's the 5 of Wands. And then we have the Empress. And then we have the Five of Pentacles. There's something about generosity here. So there's like a struggle from, maybe there's a woman in your life who has created struggle and chaos. There's like a legacy of, and you've become a very generous person, the Five of Pentacles, towards others because of that. Watching that person really struggle and create chaos amid other people in your community. So right here, it feels like a mother, honestly, but it could be different for various people. But we have the Five of Wands as this, you come from a somewhat chaotic environment, and that gave you strength. And this Five of Pentacles isn't about your struggle. This to me signifies that you're really, really caring towards other people. Remind yourself, especially in a financial way, you're the person who gives a person on the street $20 without asking them how they're going to spend it. Just give them money because it's like poverty, right? You don't question it. And you're just, in terms of material needs, you provide stability for people because you come from a place of chaos and you provide stability wherever you can within reason. So maybe you'll get in touch with that experience, and when you reach out, you'll know that about yourself as your core energy, right? Very, very nice. That was a philosophical one. In the 9th house, I guess, Pluto. Okay, so let's see. We have 4 more to go. Like I said, we went fast because, well, we had the long chat at the beginning, but it's a worthwhile chat. We talked about like 3 different concepts. So totally worth it. Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. I'm going for it. Okay. So maybe because they say that like certain people will live for hundreds of years. So maybe they will develop some weirdo like medicine that will let us live till the Age of Aquarius. Can you believe that? Imagine us seeing the Age of Aquarius in the 26th century. If we don't hurt each other, maybe we can do it. Okay, the other thing that came to mind is, did you guys know the northern rhino, there's only 2 left in the world? Oh my gosh. But scientists are trying in vitro fertilization, and they're trying it in another rhino that's a subspecies to like as a not a midwife, but like, I forget the word, you know, when one, surrogate, as a surrogate, sorry. Okay, Aquarians. I don't know why that makes sense, but an Aquarians out there will be like, I saw that too. So I'm just saying that there's hope in the world. That even in the darkest times, to me, the idea of extinction, there was one animal that became extinct and was living alone on the earth for quite some time, and it's just the saddest, loneliest experience. And the northern rhino, there's 2 of them, but it's still lonely. You're like the last in the world, right? Well, there's hope. There's hope for us yet, you know, science or whatever, technology. So the full moon is in your 7th house, Aquarius, and so that's of relationships. And then those relationships are a mirror of who you are, right? They're telling you who you are. So whoever is in your circle. For me, the 7th house is one-on-one. Whoever it is, boss, girlfriend, boyfriend, you know, best friend. I include best friend, like bros. 7th house. Whatever they're mirroring to you, really pay attention. Whatever they're saying to you about who you are, pay attention, especially people you grew up around. If they're giving you insights, listen. They're giving you inspiration and insights, powerful, and look to them. Look to the people that you know right now with this full moon to understand, you know, to understand the self. As Pluto enters Aquarius, I had Pluto go through my first house when I was a teenager in Scorpio. It was bonkers. It was fantastic. Just so you know, I would take it back in a heartbeat. Okay, so great. Okay, so All right, so let's take a look at your cards. So we have the 10 of Pentacles. Nice. Yeah. And we have the King of Cups. Loving, energy. And then we have the Empress. Now that's beautiful. Aquarius. I don't have my bell, but, you know, I just wish you all the best. It looks like love. It looks like family. Maybe I'm talking about, I'm not calling your partner a rhino. Really not. But somebody could be getting pregnant. Especially if I have a female partner. I'm not calling them a rhino. But this could be you, or you could be, and I'm not calling you a rhino either. For some reason, the video is pausing, but I'm just going to go with it anyway, okay? So, yeah, I'm not calling anyone a rhino. It's just, even, maybe this is a message for people who want a baby and who are having really hard time. The image of those North white rhinos, it's so sad. They're alone. And then suddenly there's a hope through IVF, right? And even if it doesn't work, they can try again. And maybe there's other gene editing technologies that are emerging that can help. So there's a really strong love energy. And I know IVF isn't a message for everyone who's watching, but it's a message of hope, right? Like maybe in a situation that you're in which you don't see much hope, there's love, there's hope for this family, there's hope for this direction. Okay? Very nice. Congratulations, Aquarius. We found hope. Okay. So, let's take a look at the next message. Such a goofball today. I'm sorry, you guys. We have the Leo. Okay. Hi, Leo. It's a Leo full moon, and it's Leo's first house. Hey, girl, hey. The opposite to Aquarius. So Pluto in Aquarius in Leo is very different than Pluto in Capricorn for Cancer. And I'm saying this because many Leos, if you have Leo transits, many of you have Cancer transits as well, or you have Virgo transits. That's really normal. When people have, you know, whatever sign you are, the adjacent signs usually express a few of those qualities as well, right? And so this full moon in your first house, the main thing is with Pluto in the 7th house, don't get yourself in trouble. For anyone who's watching, Pluto in the 5th house, Pluto in the 7th house, Pluto in the 8th house, don't get yourself in trouble with partners, relationships, those kinds of things. This means taking unhealthy risks with the people that you let in close, right? Or giving too many chances, too much forgiveness. So I'm not saying this will happen, but it's not as drastic as Cancer. For Cancer, that was the Achilles heel transit. Really, really leveled them for 15 years. For you, it's going to be, don't be too aggressive. If you're the type of Aquarius that is a little bit abrupt or is a little bit direct, don't be aggressive. Just don't do it, okay? With people, especially aggressive people that you're close with. So don't get into it with your partner. Learn to leave what you're good at, those kinds of stuff. But with this full moon, look at the patterns in your relationships in the 7th house. Look at the patterns in your relationship and like really figure out what's the nut. And especially if there's any nuance to your relationships that carries with it an abuse of power or some kind of, you know, strong arming you or some kind of power disruption, then please learn to manage that and get that out of your life, because Pluto in the 7th house can be disruptive. For example, and I used really like abstract language, so I'll explain it directly. If you like intense people with like harsh personalities or harsh characteristics, be very careful of Pluto in the 7th house to manage them. And make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position in which they can be hurtful, right? And with this full moon, you may have a really attuned awareness to this. And because there's a square on your North Node in your 9th house, squaring Mars in your 6th house, I think you can get a really good sense of who to stay away from. Now, I'm a bit of a cautious Virgo, so I'm giving you too much caution, and I don't want you to worry. This is not a transit in which you should worry. There's a lot of positive here of Pluto in Aquarius in your 7th house, Leo. Pluto Aquarius in the 7th house will bring in really amazing, powerful people into your life. People that are going to really rock your world. So look forward to that. But the point of the full moon, you can look forward to that, right? If you have an impression of where you need to go to meet the right type of person, sure. But I think the main thing here is be aware and really take some time to understand what kind of people you need to filter, vet out the wrong types of people. Okay, Leo. I think I said Aquarius a few times, but I just have tarot head or whatever, astrology head. So we have Page of Cups. We have the 6 of Rods. Don't worry if the video kind of freezes or something. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but... And then we have the Hermit. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you what this looks to me like. It feels like you find something within yourself of value, like an emotion that you care about someone or something. And then you go in that direction and you reach out to someone who's alone. Not a Virgo. It might be a Virgo, but not necessarily. 6 of Wands. You identify like, this is important to me and I'm going to go in this direction. Okay? So I think you're going to very much go in some direction and connect with someone who is alone. Someone's welcoming you. Someone's been waiting for you. And you have this realization like, hey, I'm going to go for it. So that's great. That's that. Also, Pluto in your 7th house also gives you lots of guts in relationships. So you're going to take chances with people. Just make sure that you're, doing that in a careful way so you don't, especially if you like those strong personality type people. Okay. So we have 2 more left. Guys, we made it. Holy crap. Okay, so we have Aries next. Hey, Aries, let's take a look at your chart first. First astrology, then the tarot. So your full moon is happening in the 5th house. That's romance. I have a feeling that you have... So you have the traditional chart. As usual, if you have a rising sign in Aries, you have such a boon because collective readings are essentially private readings for you. You guys are so lucky if you have a rising sign Aries, Sun Aries, Moon Aries. But they're readings that are just attuned for you because they're aligned to your houses, the collective messages. And so everything that I said about your relationship to groups, this is and also for everybody else watching, watch Aries because that's kind of a little mini collective reading for everyone, right? Because it's aligned to the general chart. So Aries is the precedent setting sign, right? And so we have the moon in the 5th house to go over the same energy twice. But what I see here for Aries is joy and happiness. So what brings you happiness? Get in touch. This is the 5th house is my favorite house, just so you know. I love the 5th house. Leo house. Yay. Sun ruled. Yeah, perfect. Joy. And so so the moon in Leo, this I sense a happiness here. And I feel like your happiness is your intuition in relationship to groups of people. Are they making you joyful or happy, or are they make you tense and nervous, right? And when you're encountering and interacting with more and more extreme groups of people, with Pluto there, they're going to be divergent, right? Like positives and negatives, but at more extremes. And so the moon in the 5th house, especially here, moon's your emotions, moon's your mind. Go to your feelings and connect and understand, are these people making me happy? The 5th house, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, right? Happy, happy, joy. Or are they making you tense, nervous, uncomfortable, paranoid? Is that a red flag? So there you go. Healthy. And you can't do this exercise when you're polluting yourself with other substances, right? If you're polluting yourself with toxic chemicals of any kind, that discernment becomes very muddied. So in order to really connect and like to look at this full moon and be like, okay, this group of people is making me really happy, I feel, you have to be clear of mind. The other aspect is there may be a sense of anxiety or nervousness. We'll talk about this a lot more with Chiron. There's going to be a sense of anxiety or nervousness, right? Self-consciousness. And when you get that happy, joy feeling, you can't deny yourself, right? That you don't deserve it, that it's not for you, that those people are not for you. Okay, so 3 cards for Aries. Pretty good reading, Aries, huh? Okay, so let's see. Then we get the Queen of Cups. And then we have the Queen of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. And then wow, Gossip, Queen of Pentacles. Holy shoot. Wow, I haven't gotten 3 queens in a minute. I don't remember the last time. But this can literally be that, changing alliances from one to the other, or seeing, maybe you realize that one person's not so much and you vibe with someone else. So I wish in the future that tarot cards have dynamic pictures in them in which they can flip in the direction they're pointing. I hope so in the future that there's something like that where they can, the card itself can change direction. So because right now this is fixed. It's always going to be Queen of Swords facing Queen of Pentacles. Poor Queen of Cups over here though. And this doesn't have to be women. This doesn't have to be all women. This can be women and men. But I think that there's I think that with this full moon, you're having an insight about what's good for you, the types of friends, the groups of people, and I think you should go with it, okay? Don't forget, because life's going to get complicated and distract you, and then you'll be like, oh, I forgot, and I should have listened to myself, all that. So Pisces is last but not least, so let's do Pisces now. I hope you guys had fun. I had fun doing this reading. I was excited. So full moon in Leo in your 6th house. So I think Pisces suddenly had this whoop kind of feeling, like whoop whoop. Pluto's entered your Aquarius. It's like a bing bow. It's like, come in, bada bing, bada boom. It's not a bada bing, bada boom. It's like you suddenly feel it, like boom. There's Pluto, and you're like, oh. Because Pluto in your subconscious, Pisces, very, very interesting. There's going to be a lot of Pisces psychics that arise. There's going to be a lot of psychics. And right now, some of you are going through the dark night of the soul, the Mars and Gemini, right? Some of you are in a very dark place with this full moon. And I knew it right away. So I'm sorry if you're going through it. And I don't believe you have to be in the dark night of the soul to have an enlightenment. But I think that sometimes you have the dark night of the soul because you realize the depth of your experiences at a new level. And so certain things that you were accepting, you no longer accept. That's what I think it is. It's just like your awareness rises, right? And so that whole, like, I can't describe it. It's a boom. I think all Pisces people understand my weirdness, but it's like boom. It just comes in. It's just this intense energy. And so this full moon in your 6th house in some way, because this is the subconscious, right? The full moon in the 6th house, it sort of recognizes it, but it's the subconscious, so you don't know what it is yet. And yet you're trying to place it in your everyday life, the full moon. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Be patient with it. I do think that many Pisces are going to have, whether you don't have to all become psychics, put us all out of business. I'm just kidding. I wish I had a Pisces. I was so close to a Pisces moon. Man, just, I love my moon, but like so darn close. Why, Mom? Why? You know, but many Pisces people will have so many realizations and like these very powerful awareness points. And you're not all going to be psychics. That's what I was on. And then, but yet, whatever you do in life, it's just going to have this metaphysical quality to it now with Pluto there. And it's not like a nice cut, you know, internet metaphysics or internet astrology. You're going into a intense period, 20-year period of quite intense experiences of the psychic mind. There, I said it. So, I don't know. I think in some ways it's probably my favorite transit of Pluto right now. Very, very intense. And be careful what you put into your life, like people and situations, but also what you ingest. You know, clean it up. Okay, so let's see 3 cards for Pisces. So we have, there's definitely like some darkness now that's around you that you're going through. Maybe loneliness, isolation, confusion. Something's coming to elevate the heart. That's really good. Lilith is in your 7th house, so be a little cautious with that for a while. Just a couple months to be sure. And then 5 of Swords. Hot and cold. Someone's treating you hot and cold right now. Sometimes when we're going through these intense shifts and changes, the outside is giving us weirdness too. And to remind us, Pluto's affecting all of us in the globe. So we're all like little, you know, bumper cars bumping across against each other until things settle down. So if you're a Pisces who really wants an answer now in terms of like your love question, it just feels like very unstable, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think that we're all contending with a very interesting dynamic, a change that hasn't happened in any of our lives until now. Because Pluto and Capricorn and Sagittarius and Scorpio and Libra or Virgo, however old you are, is fundamentally different than Aquarius. It's a very different phase of the Pluto transit. Okay? So allow people. I have a feeling that there could be a hot cold moment. Like there's a impression that somebody's there with you. One moment they're there, one moment they're not. The other thing about my reading that I think is very important to highlight is that subconscious. There's stuff going on deep in your subconscious right now, but the subconscious is not recognizable. You can't see it. It's the subconscious. So it manifests as an external experience that's unexpected, right? So that's why maybe you're feeling like peculiar or why is this happening right now? Okay? So you guys, we got off to a bumpy start, but we got through it much longer than I intended. I pre-practiced this astrology and it was like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. It was like 50 minutes, so I'm sorry. I aim to be concise, but today was too big a full moon for it. Happy full moon tomorrow morning at 11 Pacific, 5 degrees of Leo. If you have 5-degree placements in the fixed signs for Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, or if you have 5-degree placements in the fire signs, Sag, Aries, and Leo, this is yours. and Pisces. It sounds like it's a big one for you too. But don't let the anxiety, don't let the anxiety ruin it for you. And know a really powerful time in your life is coming. I wish you guys all the best. Happy full moon, and talk to you soon. Take